On Tuesday, Theresa May outlined her Brexit plans to the British people. Today at the World Economic Forum, her speech was aimed at a wider audience. The Prime Minister told the high-powered assembly of world leaders and business people that the UK would carve out a truly global role after it splits from the EU.
The United Kingdom, a country that has so often been at the forefront of economic and social change, will step up to a new leadership role as the strongest and most forceful advocate for business, free markets and free trade anywhere in the world. For that is the unique opportunity that Britain now has. I want the UK to emerge from this period of change as a truly global Britain, the best friend and neighbour to our European partners, but a country that reaches beyond the borders of Europe too. A country that gets out into the world to build relationships with old friends and new allies alike. And that is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to be a confident country that is in control of its own destiny once again. And it is because of that that we will be in a position to act in this global role. Because a country in control of its own destiny is more, not less able to play a full role in underpinning and strengthening the multilateral rules-based system. A global Britain is no less British because we're a hub for foreign investment. Indeed, our biggest manufacturer, Tata, is Indian, and you still can't get more British than a Jaguar or a Land Rover.
Well, there was some welcome news for the Prime Minister almost immediately when the Finance Minister of Australia, the UK's 19th biggest export market worth £4 billion a year, said a trade deal could be done very quickly.
We don't know, precisely yet, what is going to be involved in the process in terms of Britain exiting the European Union. But I mean, what I would say is that there's lots of goodwill, lots of very strong goodwill on both sides of the equation. Britain, we understand, is very keen to do a deal with us. We are very keen to do a deal with Britain. So we believe that between countries of goodwill, there's lots of opportunity.
Well, Chris Southworth is the Secretary-General of the International Chamber of Commerce in the UK. So Theresa May sounding very confident there, and a bit of good news from the Australian Finance Minister there. What's your take?
I think it's great to hear the UK talking openly about being a free trade advocate. I think we would welcome that at the International Chamber of Commerce. Globalisation and free trade has been a real force for good in the world over the last 20 or 30 years. Poverty has been reduced by 40%, and much of that has been in emerging markets. But there have been winners and losers in that discussion too, in that experience too. And she's right to say that we now need a globalisation, a model for globalisation that works for everyone.
I guess the big question, though, Chris, she's talking about, or she's implying it's relatively straightforward to get quick trade deals with the rest of the world once we leave the single market. Is that your view as well?
That's not the experience of others. I mean, on average, it takes 5 years to negotiate a trade deal. The Canadians, it looks like the UK is moving towards a Canadian-EU trade deal of that sort of nature, and it takes at least 5 years to do that. The important thing is we've got or the UK has got to undertake a divorce process first. The Prime Minister's hinting that they want to come to a trade deal and do the divorce at the same time. That's hugely ambitious across 27 countries when you've got the French and German elections going on next year.
You've got, of course, Plan B, as Theresa May said the other day. No deal is better than a bad deal. If it all falls apart, Plan B is to fall back on WTO trade agreements. What's the likely impact of that going to be on trade?
Yeah, look, the single market was designed for trade investment. The UK was a chief advocate and chief architect behind the single market. If you're a first-time exporter, there's nowhere better than the single market. It's familiar, it's less red tape, little red tape, maximum freedom. That's perfect for business. And likewise, if you're a company delivering goods or services to a company in the EU, a German manufacturer, and then shipping those goods out to China, it's a great proving ground for that. If the UK is clearly coming out of the single market, it's not so easy to replicate that business environment elsewhere. And if you're dropping onto World Trade Organization rules, then you're dealing immediately with tariffs and barriers. A perfect example of that has been the new train line coming into Barking Beijing, this new Silk route that's been opened up by China. it's a fantastic business opportunity for everyone, but you're going through Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, and then China. Wonderful business opportunity, but it's not quite the same in terms of business conditions as operating within the single market.
Got you. Well, one of the big announcements that we heard post the Brexit vote was Nissan's commitment to remain in the UK and to expand in Sunderland after getting various commitments from Theresa May. We've spoken to Carlos Ghosn, the chairman of Nissan, today at Davos. Here's what he told us.
So obviously we base our decision as much as possible on specifics and on concrete decision. This being said, we're not neutral because we have the reassurance of the UK government that they will keep in mind the necessity to keep competitive all these plans, Nissan Sunderland plant being one of them, because of the heavy export from Sunderland to Europe. Obviously this is our decision, this is a board decision, and we took a lot of time to review the situation, and we trust that it's in everybody's interest to keep the competitiveness of the plant, and we think that this will be illustrated during the negotiation process.
So, Chris, what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's interesting with the Nissan case. It's reassuring to hear a company like Nissan feeling reasonably confident in this whole single market process. But you can't. The government isn't allowed to underwrite and single out one company. You're not allowed to do that under competition rules. So there's an immediate question: what's being promised in Nissan, and what does that mean for Jaguar Land Rover and the rest of the auto sector? I think what's interesting about the auto sector is it's a highly integrated supply chain through Europe. So you've got UK companies providing ball bearings for wheels made in Germany that then come back and get put on a car in the UK, and then it's shipped out to India or wherever else in the world. Those companies need to move those goods and services across borders freely without cost. When the UK comes out of the single market, there's immediately going to be a barrier there that wasn't there before. Somebody's going to have to fill in paperwork and deal with that cost. Which
is why Theresa May says she wants to remain an associate member of the customs union. Do you think that's going to be practicable?
I think some of this is well, we don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know until the Europeans come to the negotiation table. Then we'll really know. But it's difficult to envision how that's going to happen. When you come out of the single market, you come out of the customs union. It's part of the benefits of being in the single market. You choose to come out, you choose to come out. It's a membership club. It's up to the Europeans. They will decide at the end of the day. But at the moment, it's quite difficult. That's going to be part of the negotiation. It's hard to see a sort of separate deal being done on customs at this point in time.